All right. How you doing? Monday, November 6th, 5:31 p.m. Mr. Ogunlana, DreamThinkDesign.com. Welcome. So today, I had the pleasure of finding yet another book by Vic Johnson called The Magic of Believing. Believe in yourself and the universe is forced to believe in you. Now, this book, I got the audio book because, I'm able to consume a lot of these books, especially if they're self-help in nature, in between car rides while I'm walking my son in the park, or if I'm waiting at a red light, or if I'm in the middle of preparing food. I can always throw on one of those audio books and listen to them at the same time as I'm doing things and able to consume what they're saying. This book right here is probably his best work to date that I've read, simply because of this one passage where he talked about the difference, the question he posed I think it's chapter 1 of the book, where he says, well, what's the difference between faith and belief? And I'm just going to get I'm just going to hop right into it. He says that faith or belief is the conviction people hold, and faith is the confidence that the belief is realized. Saying it again, and this is me paraphrasing, that belief is the conviction people hold, and faith is the confidence the belief will be realized. Now that whole paradigm, it caused a paradigm shift in me, because he likened belief to perception, and he says belief can be perception, or it can be an assertion. And he says that having faith is all about taking action and maintaining a positive belief in spite of obstacles and self-sabotaging arguments. And then he goes further by saying that there is no such thing as blind faith, because you have to have foresight, or the foresight of the end result before it occurs. Now, all of this is great, and it kind of struck me like a lightning bolt, because it made so much sense to me, because my whole life I have been raised in the church, and there are so many people, especially in the Christian religion, that talk about faith and empowerment, and they all have their own definitions. This is probably the best definition that I've ever heard about faith and belief, simply because it is very straightforward and simply put. And, so what I internalized, the differences between the two, and so I said all of this because I really wanted to get this on record first before I kind of talked about some of the things that I've been working on today, is that belief is essentially that which backs our thoughts. It literally shapes my perception, or it has shaped my perfection. My beliefs, or the beliefs that I've held true in my life, have literally shaped my perception, and it has gone further to assert itself as reality in my life, in all of my relationships, be it business relationships or personal relationships. And that is the belief that there are restrictions, that there is scarcity in terms of money, that there are restrictions in terms of my relationships, that I don't have certain things, or that I'm not qualified, or whatever the case may be, that these beliefs have literally caused and set into motion a combination of thoughts that have created my reality as it is right now. That hit me as a ton of bricks today, and I was walking, I think I was in Freedom Park today, walking with my son. That's a good park, by the way, for all of those single parents looking for places to walk. Today was about Today was about, I think the high was about 75. It felt good today, and it's November. So shout out to the greenhouse gases and just and everything else that's causing everything to be warmer here in Atlanta, because it's normally a little bit chilly. Last week it was cold. I think the high last week was about like 50 or 52 or something like that. So in any event, that fell on me today. Like, I mean, it struck me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still shaken by it, because what he goes on to say in his work is that the first thing you have to do is accept the reality that I have created through these beliefs, my reality, no matter how good the reality is or how bad. And I was actually thinking today, and he goes on further in his work and deal with the thoughts that come as a result of these negative or negate beliefs. And he goes on to say about how to log these over a week. And I've actually, his other work, he actually talking about automatic negative. I say automatic. He says automatic. That's my spin. That's my IT career, refactoring words. But the automatic negative thoughts that I have, and I didn't get that at the back of it are these negate beliefs that I have formed over time. And then what's interesting is I heard also, I believe it was in one of Napoleon Hill's works, how he says that if you don't consciously deal with faith, and as Vic Johnson says, it's the conviction or the emotion. The emotion is I think, and he didn't say that, and he did say, Vic Johnson said it in his work, sorta. And so I'm going to add to it by saying that conviction is linked to emotion. And he says that, that faith without works is dead. Obviously, that's the Christian context. And it's, he actually put a different spin on it because he proved it. It's one thing to say that I'm going to have a business and that it will be successful. That's my belief, right? That is, let me go use the terminology. Pull this back up. That I'm going to have, or excuse me, not conviction, but the confidence. That's the faith. The confidence as in something that beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so I said before that faith is doing something without proof, without any prior proof that it can be done. And then so it goes first. So I'm kind of building on this, what faith truly is, because I really want to get gain a working knowledge of that. And so what I'm saying is that these beliefs actually created these convictions. I erroneously said that conviction was associated to faith, but in these notes that I took, I say belief is the conviction that people hold, and faith is the confidence the belief will be realized. So essentially, the conviction is created by seeing the end from the beginning. I believe that I will be successful in business, that I will be a gymnast, that I will be a linguist, that I will be a musician, that I will be a successful real estate investor, that I will have success with women. So I have these, I can see the end from the beginning, but the confidence comes from the faith, which is the act. And so he goes on in his work, because this book is only, the audio book, like I said earlier, is only an hour long. And so he goes on to say that to practice the manifestation of the belief, that practice is the manifestation of the belief, or the actual building up of the faith to practice. So if I wanted to lose 100 pounds, getting up every day and going to run is practicing, is building the faith, because I'm actually getting up and I'm actually associating a physical affirmation of this belief. And so this is creating in me the proof that which could not be seen before, which is thereby building the faith that I could, that will continue to carry me on regardless of whatever obstacle or whatever self-sabotaging arguments that could arise. And so this is groundbreaking for me, because what it's caused me to do is it's caused me to sit back and really think about all of my limiting beliefs. Now we're back on that, and I'm, leave it to Vic Johnson to have me have me deal with metacognition, or the thinking of thinking, because that's really what all of this stuff is about, is becoming a master of my own mind. And so I have so many, just as I was listening to the book, it was just so many negate thoughts swirling in my mind that I know I have to write down. And so that's my thing. So from starting today, for the next 7 days, I am actually going to be monitoring all of my obsessive thoughts, whether, especially the negative ones. Well, I'm really definitely going to be paying attention to the negative ones, especially the ones that occur multiple times that I find myself always coming back to, because those, as he says, Vic Johnson says, that these are the ones that are most destructive. And I have a couple, and I could go into it now, and we'll see. It depends on how this goes and where I am by the time I reach my house. So in other news, what I did start today, and so I finally finished my be, having, and do list. I actually finished it. I wouldn't say that I finished it, but I at least got to a place to where I'm comfortable with holding myself accountable to what's on that list. Now, there are some things that are on those 3 lists that are obviously more than 3 and 6 months. Maybe. Well, see, that's a limiting belief right there. That, this stuff is going to take so long for me to do, because, requires a certain amount of money. And, I don't necessarily have all of that right now. That's a limiting belief. So, note to self, I'm going to deal with that. That's going to be written down. So anyway, I wrote all of those down. And so now what I did today, while my son was in the middle of listening to Akili and Me, shouts out to Akili and Me, especially their Swahili edition of their learning numbers and alphabets. And as we were speaking English and Swahili today, I took some time to create my weekly schedule. And what I did was I just got I got another art or sketchbook, and I went to Walmart. Like I said, Walmart has, if you go to the arts and crafts aisle, they have like the artist sketchbook, and it's the book that it's bound. I have the ring binder version of it, and it's a good cardstock, and I could create my own line. So I got a new one, and what I did was I flipped to a new page and I made a grid, 7 days. And basically, because what I'm finding is there are certain consistent things that I do consistently every day that don't necessarily require scheduling. I just need to block the time out and do it, so that way I'll know that this is the time that I eat, my first meal of the day, or my second meal, or my third meal. This is the time where I have my son, this is the time where he takes a nap, or on this day, and that, so that's what I did. What I have to do tonight is go ahead and be filling all of the obligations on my schedule. And what I'm going to look at is the actual time that I actually have for doing actual work on projects, and I'm going to be looking at that, because right now, if I take today, for example, and I have this project that I'm about to start with this company called Pentius, and they're gonna, from what I understand, they're gonna be requiring much of my time, and they want my schedule. they want to have my schedule blocked out for certain times each day, essentially between 8 and 4. So that's going to be an interesting thing. So I have to kind of plan around that. And I also have a few projects. I have the Xamarin project that I am tutoring this guy on. I have 2 other projects, mobile apps. One which I codenamed Project Oduduwa, and the other one is the healthcare blockchain. And then I also have the social media automation application that I actually have a first version that's out on production right now. So I got to look at doing a second version of that. I got to, one thing that I know I have to do, and this is an obligation, and I just have to do it, is my personal accounting system. I have to do it. And there's just no way around it. I have to do that. I have to look at the process of onboarding new clients and what that looks like and what my schedule looks like, because I need to continue that process, and I need to create a system out of that. And then I also have facilities management for my home as well as my car. So the facilities and auto management, and then my personal hygiene management. These are things that there's just no way around it. So I can look at short-circuiting time, or it's not short-circuiting, but optimizing time for those things. And as I continue to find ways to optimize them, I will. But tonight is really going to be, I have a project that I'm going to be working on, or 2. I got a call tonight with a brand new project. This is an auto video app. And I'm going to be working with this guy. Oh, and I forgot to say that I do still have that social media filmmaker app that I do have that has not started yet, but is still in the works. So I've enumerated several projects, and just by looking at my schedule, Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays are the days that I have most of my days to work or on projects and plan. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturdays are pretty much tightly booked. I'm still working with my son to build a schedule around him, just kind of having him. And today, in other news, he's about 10 months, so I'm gonna be making him my first version of some applesauce. I'm looking forward to that on tomorrow. I got a recipe for that. I'm excited about that. He and I are going to be making that. It's going to be our project tomorrow. So the beliefs, and that's something that that really rocked my world today. And what I do know and I do want to add is also I heard Les Brown say this, and he says he reads 3 to 4 books a week. And that is an absurd amount of books to read. But because I listen to audiobooks, I realized that could be easily done, actually. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really I know I can at least listen to 3 audiobooks a week. I know I can do that. And I know for a fact, because I'm almost complete with 1 right now. And so, today's Monday. So I have about 2 more audio books to add. And I also want to read a book. I actually want to get a book and look at it. There's some things that I'm going to be looking at in terms of creating all of these systems. And so, I just want to say to myself, first of all, that I'm doing a great job with staying on top of my thought process. And that is really going to give me the opportunity to attract the kind of life that I really want, because I realize that I have a lot of limiting beliefs, especially concerning business, especially concerning my social life, and especially concerning my own personal look and feel. And, from what I understand, I'm responsible for it. And today I've accepted responsibility for where I am. I've made a lot of updates and changes that have really placed me in a great position. But what I'm saying is that it's going to require a lot more work. And I really appreciate myself for taking the time to do the work. And One thing I will say about my social life is, especially with women, I'll go ahead and be transparent, because why not? I've spent way too much time thinking about negative situations, negative events, negative happenings with women in my past, period. I spend way too much time thinking about negative situations with women, and I'm responsible for creating the new negative experiences with women, because I spend too much time thinking about the old negative experiences with women. I realized that, even today, as I was listening to Vic's work, I realized something about myself. I realized that he talked about the reticular activating system, and how if you program your thoughts, or if I spend time thinking about certain thoughts, what my mind does is it creates and it finds these things in my environment and bring them into my perception and into my reality. And so I've spent way too much time, I think, and then this is just one obsessive thought that I've had, just in general, just negative scenarios and events with women. I just spent way too much time thinking about that. And so his anecdote to that is, first of all, writing it down, and then second of all, spend time affirming myself in the opposite direction. Creating what he says, these truth cards, and, spending time thinking about, and even if I can't find anything specifically about that I want to think about, that's the anecdote. He says, just be grateful for the small things. Just start being grateful. Anytime those thoughts come around, first of all, affirm the opposite, and then begin to be grateful. And so I just really wanted to put on record that I spend way too much time doing that. I actually am thinking about either finding some meetup groups or some Toastmasters in my area, just to begin to rub shoulders with people who are taking time out of their lives, their busy schedules, to improve themselves. I want to surround myself with those people. As a matter of fact, I will surround myself with people that are taking the time out of their busy schedule to improve themselves. That no matter how busy they are, no matter what obstacles may have presented themselves in their lives, that they are actually taking the time to improve themselves. So I am going to increase the amount of works that I read every week, whether it be whether I listen to it, whether I read it, and I'm going to be watching things every week, and I'm going to put this on my schedule, like daily power hours, and let's see if this still is recording. Yes, daily. My phone rang, but so it's still recorded, so that's great. So just taking a daily power hour, I'm going to do that in the morning. And, one thing he said about limiting beliefs is about the early bird gets the worm. And he said that that's not actually all true, because there are great people that have existed that, regardless of whatever time they rose, which was later in the day, they were still successful. So it's not about waking and rising early. For me, I know I'd like to at least, I'd like to at least discipline myself to do it. And it's not necessarily just that's going to create a successful scenario for me. What's going to create a successful scenario for me is making the most out of the time that I am awake. Planning and scheduling around it, scheduling, being realistic with my schedule. I think that's the main thing for me, because now that I think that's the challenge. Now that I actually have it on paper and I'm looking at it and I'm looking at how I want to set this up, because I did this before and I didn't follow that schedule either. Because I tried to get up at 3, 4 a.m. and some days I did and some days I didn't, because some nights I stay up to 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, just, working on projects and doing other things. And so, I have to be realistic with my schedule, especially my permanent weekly schedule, and then actually have, the floating work blocks in terms of hours and stuff that I work. And so, these are all things that I'm working on, and I'm actually working on improving myself. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to allow defeat to create obstacles for me. I believe that I am going to optimize each and every moment that I have to make the most out of my life, to be successful, to surround myself with successful people, and to generally have a great feeling about life and about my well-being each day. I'm happy about, the fact that I'm home and I spent quality time with my son, and I was able to get some work done at the same time. And I'm really happy about the other things that I've created in my reality, which is I haven't compromised on my manhood. And so I appreciate all of the men who listen to this, who are single parents, who have not compromised their manhood. I appreciate you, and I just wanted to take this time out to just send a special praise to myself and all of the other men who are handling their responsibilities and taking the time to improve themselves. I appreciate you. And so do me this favor. And regardless of how great you feel right now, if you find yourself with your head hung low after this, or even as you're listening to this, if you're finding yourself with your head hung low, do me this favor. Do just as my father told me, which is raise your head and look above, because there's so many great things in front of you and ahead of you that you have no reason to hang your head low. Until the next time we speak.